winter home in Dunedin, Florida, up a little bit. Varsho, son of the former Pirate Gary Varsho. And
Brownie, I mean, the second half of last year for Mitch Keller was really, really good. Impressive. So I know talking to him early on in the season.
And you see that clock there off to the left behind. There's 30 seconds between batters once the last out is recorded, and there is the strikeout. And that clock
to Biggio and runs it up.
A tale of two seasons. Once he was demoted essentially to the bullpen last year, made a couple of relief appearances. A different pitcher. A little weak pop-up shallow right that's going to drop in. A base hit. Another guy returning to the Pirate. Broken bat, ground ball to third. One little trouble on the first, no trouble.
Well, you can already tell, Brownie, in that first inning, just the
players are very aware.
And like anything else, in the early going, I feel like the pitchers have a little bit to work with. 15 seconds with guys on, with nobody on base, whereas these hitters have to be subs, and that's kind of the goal.
And a fly ball toward right center field, and a nice running catch.
Ball right here from Cruz,
but Brian Hayes figures to be there. And today Bay at second, Castro at third, getting the clock during each plate appearance.
A little bit of an out.
And Kikuchi strikes out Castro. Santana will turn 37.
A good first base and put together good at bats. But also, he's here to mentor some of these to kind of do the same thing on top of playing a good Major League outfield and DH.
Little tapper. And a little...
amount of time he spent in this organization, the impact he made is... Watch him play this year.
And the buzz...
in comparison to you, is everything seem the same? You see, just a little more traffic than 10 years.
So it's a little bit closer to first by 3 inches. It's 4.5 inches closer from first to pitching rubber twice. There, Keller's curveball, 1 and 2.
And I've given it some for the hitters and the batters. That's going to take some. Or you could get a strike called against you, and even more first and third late in the game, something might happen. And what if a balk is feel as opposed to a hard line?
Hey, it's a hard, fast rule. We'll see, though. But I think that's what spring training is for these guys to get used to it. And there were a couple games in Shealy's scouting report from Mitch Keller.
Slowing the game down, figuring out what maybe went along, and it was very apparent watching him. The slider was just sharper. It was put in better spot.
Here in the second inning.
Well, not to mention, added a pitch into his repertoire, and there's a nice little backdoor breaking ball right there.
Well, hey.
He's got a couple variations of the slider. Here's one.
They brought him in as a free agent. There's behind the plate in all of baseball. And tapped. Keller. 1, 2, 3. Years of baseball in Bradenton, Florida. City, and of course here today a whole bunch. Robbie Mikowski, third inning. Here he is. 8 years in the big leagues.
He's going to grind out some at bats. We're probably going to see him hitting toward, the.
Gave up an infield hit. Third strikeout.
Off of those starts, but in the ERA with Toronto, which they've moved in the fences this year, which was pretty incredible to hear. But
he goes down
as well, or without through the spring. I apologize.
Swinski, first big league campaign. Homers.
Some damage is going to be done.
Debut. Oh, he does. Impressive couple of innings. Are you safe?
Here's hoping it's a great year starting this afternoon. Bob, thank you.
Thank you, Robbie.
All right. Greg and Neil?
Robbie, thanks. And thanks to Pirates chairman Bob Nutting. And no doubt he is. Here is Rossi Contreras into right field and takes a bad.
probably a little more grip to the grass than you.
The pitch off in time, so home plate umpire Jeremy ball one. And comes right back with a pop-up to shallow left on Duhar with the runner at third tagging on Duhar.
Ronzi almost 100 innings last year, 21 appearances.
You know that feeling, don't you, Neil?
No, never.
No, Former Bucko second baseman back in the booth with us this year. Pulled foul. Big fan. There's a ground ball backhanded by the third baseman Castro. Long throw, the stretch, and a nice play on the
far away. So sometimes you
day. And there's a line out to second. We'll head now to the
general manager Ben Cherington is doing. You see some of the guys that have come in, especially on the offensive side.
Ball to strike.
Just try to fill up the strike zone as much as possible and just feel good overall with everything. So,
pitch clock, and coaches were telling you if you were in violation of it. What has that process been like in terms of adjusting, even though you're a pretty fast worker as is?
In between, and I kind of like it. It's get up and go. Let's play.
What is the conversation like amongst all the pitchers with regard to the pitch clock, Mitch? When did that switch kind of flip for you and everything turned in your favor?
Just introducing the sinker and the new slider really started clicking a little bit, and I think once it starts clicking, then you just kind of get a little bit more in the zone. Because when I throw more strikes, your stuff always plays up a little bit more than it usually.
As Zach Thompson, who was with the Pirates last year, walked Connor Joe, then uncorked a wild. Now O'Neal Cruz.
You know, you see two really good, but I think if you ask Ben Cherington, on-base machines, you're able to give opportunities with guys in scoring position to the top of the order guys like Cruz. I love seeing him in that 3-4 hole as well.
He drops a hit him up for Rodolfo Castro, and he drives one to right center field. That's hit well, and that is a grand slam. Castro in the opening game of the Grapefruit League schedule.
Castro gets an elevated heater right here.
Started out with Cleveland, 8 seasons.
And I think this is a prime example right here of, as a starter, even if he's not necessarily used in that short order, he doesn't have the, outside of maybe another mound visit, he doesn't really have the.
Ball 4, and here comes Andrew McCutchen for his second at bat. Of nothing about possibly coming back, and that, as we said, set the wheels in motion for his return. And
he's always been that way. He knows how to take care of himself. He's got a great approach to plate. Let's see, where's this clock?
Austin Hedges lines one to center.
Right there that gets hit hard from Zach Thompson. Seems to be having some issues just keeping the ball down.